Well, yeah, there's again talk that he faces a mutiny from his crew if he doesn't speak out, if he doesn't hit out at Disney. The sense of entitlement, Kinsey, is astonishing. We're talking about a man being paid an insane salary to fail at his role. His audience is tiny. It has dropped by some 70% since its peak. And the amount that show costs compared to the audience it attracts, it makes zero sense that he's on air.
I was thinking about that. Just the return on investment here doesn't make sense when you have a YouTuber like Charlie Kirk who could sit in in a room in his house by himself. Now, I know he had executive producers and co-hosts, but that came along the way. But when you are capable of doing this on your own and generating a larger audience, it makes absolutely no sense. What are those 200 employees doing? I mean, is there somebody that's running and getting him a coffee? I have a hard time justifying 200 employees at the Jimmy Kimmel offices.
Now, Angelina Jolie features in Lefty's Losing It tonight, and it's for this reason. I'll play the clip later in the show, but she says she doesn't recognise the US anymore. She's outraged about the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel as well, and she talked about this, Kinsey, while promoting her new movie, Couture, at the 2025 San Sebastian International Film Festival.
Yeah, she said, I have to say that I love my country, but I don't recognize my country. And then I'll give her some credit here because I appreciate her hesitation. She emphasized that she was going to be very careful about what she said at the press conference. She was critical, but carefully critical, saying these are very, very heavy times. I'm glad that she's being thoughtful because other people haven't been thoughtful throughout this process. And I think that they've been pretty hateful throughout the death, the loss of a young father whose life was taken in front of all of us on the internet. And, people are going to be traumatized over that visual forever. But I will say Jolie's dad is John Voight, a special ambassador or special envoy to Hollywood, appointed by President Trump earlier this year. So clearly the holidays must be difficult for Angelina versus John at home. If they are spending any time together, they've got some different political corners that they must be navigating.
You are being far too kind and generous there, Kinsey. I thought her statement, whilst not, it could have been worse, you're right, and we have heard a lot worse from the celebrity class, but it was still inane, it was still asinine, and it was still divorced from reality. It showed what a bubble she exists in. She talked about what a citizen of the world she is and how she lives everywhere, but that statement showed she exists in a very tiny bubble, regardless of where she travels to. Now, I want to speak about the Obamas with you because they were spotted boarding Steven Spielberg's $250 million super yacht in the Italian Riviera. And they were doing this precisely the same time that we had so much of the country watching Charlie Kirk's memorial and being really moved by a significant moment in this country's history. Again, it shows the utter divide. Were there any Democrats, current or past, who we know attended Charlie Kirk's memorial yesterday?
I looked this up and I couldn't find anyone. I could not find anyone, which was pretty devastating. I mean, I thought Charlie Kirk's memorial was a really edifying and gorgeous display of unity. When Christian artist Phil Wickham sang to a packed stadium, "When I fight, I'll fight on my knees with my hands lifted high. Oh God, the battle belongs to you." That was completely in line with Erica Kirk's message that the right didn't burn down cities after we lost someone that was important to us. We mourned and we turned to God and each other. And the way we dealt with this was through love and prayer. Meanwhile, the Obamas were on Steven Spielberg's yacht debating whether Steven Spielberg could create a movie made about the Obamas that he would be interested in directing and definitely producing. I'd rather watch a movie about Charlie Kirk, but that's just my opinion.
This is what's wrong with television and cinema at the moment. There are just so many projects that there is no demand for, but the activists are going to make sure these projects come to fruition. Now, Utah Valley University, where Charlie Kirk was assassinated, had formed the UVU Memorial Committee to create a monument for the conservative activist. Kinsey, surely this is going to happen. Surely there's going to be monuments on university campuses all across the country. You would think at a minimum that is called for.
Yeah, I mean, the university shared this news on Monday, stating it would listen to community voices and carefully consider the many perspectives surrounding the memorial. They added that it has already received an outpouring of support, ideas and suggestions from students, faculty, staff, community members, even business leaders and elected officials. And they emphasized that public input will guide the project's direction. I'm grateful that they're doing this because they could have tried to ignore this horrific moment in history, and instead it seems like they're trying to learn from it.
Taylor Swift, we have not spoken about her for a couple of weeks, and people get withdrawal symptoms if you don't address the Swift issue. Now, a process server has been arrested while trying to serve Taylor Swift with deposition papers from Justin Baldoni's legal team at her fiance's Travis Kelce's home. Kinsey, tell me more about this.
You know, you say it that way and you're like, oh my gosh, how unfair, how unjust. However, the guy was charged with jumping the fence onto a private residence in a private neighborhood at around 2 a.m. This happened on September 15th.
Okay.
Sounds like he went above and beyond, allegedly trying to serve Taylor Swift. If, 2 a.m.'s my cutoff when trying to serve pop stars, but what a wild story.
That is a wild story, I've got to say. He's lucky he did not get shot getting up to those antics at 2 a.m. Kinsey Schofield, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for your time tonight.
Thank you.